Guy Williams was a popular TV actor who rose to prominence during the late 50s thanks to his time portraying Zorro on the Disney show of the same name. The show aired in 1957, and Guy received his role after auditioning for Walt Disney personally. When Zorro came to an end after 3 seasons, he continued working in the entertainment industry until his retirement in the early 70s. Following Zorro, Guy could be seen not only on the subsequent hit series Lost in Space, but also episodes of the long-running western Bonanza. Join Facts First as we explore why Guy Williams only lasted for 5 episodes of Bonanza. When Guy Williams was growing up, his parents wanted him to be an insurance broker, but he wanted to be an actor. The young man certainly had the looks, but his dreams took a while to become a reality. He caught a break after receiving the role of Zorro on the 1957 series of the same name produced by Walt Disney. Zorro lasted for 3 seasons, after which point it lived on in popularity thanks to syndication deals around the world. Though Guy remained best known for playing Zorro, he went on to work on several other notable shows. One such show was Bonanza, on which Guy Williams played a part that ended up lasting for 5 seasons. Guy Williams was born in 1924, though he was known by the name of Joseph Catalano at the time of his birth. Guy's father was an insurance broker, which resulted in the young man being pushed into the profession by his parents. But Guy remained adamant he wanted to be a star. Early on, he could be found working as a welder, an accountant, a salesman, and an inspector of aircraft parts. All the while, Guy knew he really wanted to become an actor. Guy's dream of becoming a star certainly wasn't without its merits, as the young man grew up with charm and good looks to spare. His earliest work came as a fashion model. However, he had a hard time impressing casting directors in the industry thanks to his decidedly foreign-sounding name. It was this dilemma that prompted Guy Williams to come up with his stage name. Over the course of the 40s, Guy received a good deal of success working in the modeling industry. He could be seen on billboards and in magazines, with some of his most notable appearances being in Harper's Bazaar. As he became more successful as a model, he continued trying to secure roles on screen. It was in 1946 that Guy Williams first caught the attention of Hollywood, securing a 1-year contract with MGM. He then ventured out to California from New York City, where he'd been doing the majority of his modeling work. Guy's first excursion only lasted around a year before he returned to New York. His contract with MGM had ended up being a bit of a bust, and he only appeared in a handful of films. But it granted the young man his first experience in the industry, and he moved out to California later with more promising prospects. Upon returning to New York, he began appearing in a number of TV commercials that gave him a good deal of fame. In addition to that, he started a tenure at the neighborhood playhouse in New York, and slowly began branching out into television series, with work on productions like Studio One. In 1952, Guy was inspired to move to Hollywood again, after receiving a contract with Universal Studios. This contract proved much more lucrative, and he could be seen in a handful of pictures over the course of the early 50s. These included The Golden Blade and Take Me to Town. Although it was better than his time with MGM, Guy's time with Universal still wasn't everything he'd hoped for. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like, and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. And stick around for more about Guy Williams. In 1953, while Guy was in Hollywood working for Universal Pictures, he got into a horseback riding accident that left him severely damaged. Guy fell off the horse and was dragged for roughly 200 meters, resulting in a long and permanent scar across his right shoulder. This incident bookended Guy's time at Universal Studios with a sour note, and he returned to New York City once again shortly after. While there, he worked steadily in the industry during the mid-50s before receiving his big break thanks to his role on Zorro. Before that, he worked as a freelance actor for Warner Brothers Pictures. The still fledgling star had begun wondering if he was ever going to truly make it, but thankfully his big break was around the corner. When Guy first heard about auditions being held by Walt Disney for someone to play Zorro, he knew the part was just right for him. In addition to being a successful insurance broker, Guy's father had been a talented and passionate fencer, and had taught his son everything there was to know about the exotic sport. This made Guy one of the few actors in the business who was proficient at fencing, and fencing just so happened to be one of the main skills Disney was looking for in his Zorro actor. As a result, he received the lead role on Zorro. He had caught his big break. To fit the role perfectly, he grew out his facial hair and took a few guitar playing lessons. He ended up playing the character for all of its 3 seasons before it came to an end at the close of the 50s. After the series ended, Guy worked for a period in Europe, where he filmed roles in productions such as Captain Sinbad and Damon and Pythias. He then returned to Hollywood in 1964. Guy Williams was brought onto Bonanza to replace Pernell Roberts, though Guy proved much less popular with audiences than Pernell had been. Pernell had played Adam Cartwright, while Guy was given a role as a new member of the Cartwright family named Will. Guy also found he didn't much enjoy his time on Bonanza. After 5 episodes, he turned his back on the series, and producers reached out to Pernell Roberts, eventually talking the star into returning for the next season. Bonanza fans were grateful they got Pernell Roberts back, and Guy Williams was grateful he no longer had to toe the line on the long-running Western series. Guy felt his work on the series wasn't challenging enough, even though Bonanza was one of the most successful shows on television at that point. After leaving Bonanza, Guy went on to take a role on the science fiction series Lost in Space. He played the lead of John Robinson. The show was initially a huge hit with audiences and critics, but its ratings decreased significantly after only a few years. Combined with the exuberant budget, these diminished ratings caused the original Lost in Space to come to an end after only 3 seasons. Guy continued to work sporadically for years until his retirement in the mid-70s. He retired to Buenos Aires and lived out the remainder of his life there before passing away in 1989 after suffering a stroke. Now it's time to hear from you. What was your favorite Guy Williams role? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.